Okay, let's talk about it. Just watched episode 1. Let's get into this. Real quick, before I start, I just want to clarify that you will need to have seen the episode to experience this properly. I'm just going to be going through the plot step by step, pausing with keyframes to talk about points, so it's not a reaction, just so that's clear. There's plenty of reactions out there, I'm sure. I just want to talk about the plot all the way through. It's just initial thoughts. I will probably put out a more refined video later. I just wanted to go through episode 1 as it came out. I ummed and ahed and debated how I was going to present my thoughts. I might go back and revisit the episode later in the week, but for now I've watched it through, and I'm going to sort of watch it through again and make points along the way. And I'll give you my thoughts, and then edit it down probably so it's more manageable. So let's do it. Okay, so immediately this is excellent. I really enjoy this. I was hoping, if you've seen my videos recently, hoping beyond anything that they would go into Cinder backstory, and I'm hoping they do more, and everything implies they will, but this is a great way to start it off. We're actually doing it, she's actually a character, and that's a great cold open, and I love the repeated motion. It's a great choice with the scrubbing of the brush and the fingers. And also, Neo looks excellent, so the animation's really doing well here. So that's fantastic. Okay, so next point. I find it weird that the Grimm always know not to attack certain people, like the bad guys when they fly in here, but giving that a pass because they've always done it. I really enjoy the design of the whale as a full-on aircraft carrier with like launching pads. That's great. That's what I thought it would be, and I was hoping for something similar. I didn't expect like actual struts out the side, but either way, I really think this is cool. So it's a great concept. So the fact we get straight to Salem is good and bad. I didn't want them drawing that out for ages, but it feels weird that they walk straight to her. But again, we'll give it a pass because the brevity means we can get to things that matter, so that's good. I will be repeating this probably throughout it, but I just love how expressive Neo is. I love how much attention they give her expressions, and I really like the approach here that she really does not grasp what's going on, and her behaviors and reactions to everything is fantastic. A1 job. And I do like Cinder immediately bowing. It gives reverence. It's quite good. Whoa, okay, so you may not know this because there's no reason why you would, but obviously this channel has writing in the title. I talk about writing a lot, but I have a huge investment in direction and camera work and all those kind of things. I'm a big cinema lover. This is a terrible choice. I don't know why they did a close-up on her mouth. It doesn't really even look like her except for the veins, which aren't really on screen, and the lip movement isn't perfect enough to make this delivery great. I don't know why they chose to do this. There's a few directorial choices I'm not thrilled about, and this is one of them. So I will say that. Okay, super interesting bit of dialogue. When I chose you as my vessel for the maidens, I put my trust in you. That answers a big question that, everyone has is, double maidens or multiple maidens. Like, we always assume it's a thing because she's trying it, but apparently Salem really thinks it's a thing. And that's great. That answers that question of why they're pursuing it. There's no explanation as to why she thinks that, but still, it's an interesting point. At least they're covering things. One of the things I will compliment on this episode is they're making choices early. They're not dragging it out. People are making choices, whether they're good or bad, and the show is making choices, whether they're good or bad. At least they're committing. I do really like that. Alright, again, I'm talking a lot over just the start of the show, but I really like some of these choices. I like that, obviously, everyone assumes that Salem knows Cinder's alive because she's got Grimm in her, which is fine, but I like that she doesn't know everything she's been doing, and there's genuine surprise there when she's presented with the relic. That's excellent. I love that Salem, despite being the big bad guy, is allowed to be expressive. I like that character choice. And I do like the expected you won't return to me empty-handed. It leans into her motherly side and the way you would talk to a poorly behaved child. I think it's quite good. So this is pretty good. Oh, geez, man, every line of this opening is something to talk about. Again, I love how expressive Neo is, and I love that this is carrying through. It's not just her giving one weird look to Cinder, she's pissed off, and I love that she probably doesn't grasp who's in front of her, or at least not really. And she's willing to be petty and show emotion like this, and not be openly contradictory, but Salem can probably see her body language. It's excellent. I really enjoy what they're doing with Neo. Okay, and the first reintroduction of a character. Well, not really, but he's sort of teleported to here. Does he sound different? Just me? I don't know. his voice sounded way off. I didn't really I knew it was Tyrion, but like, I don't know. As for what he says is pretty interesting. I do like that, again, we're getting this out of the way. Like, a lot of the things we saw in the trailer, out of the way, episode 1, that's great. And I'll never tire of the Watts cinder shade throwing. I think that's quite funny. That, you know, oh, Shane Watts didn't make it back, so sarcastic. It's very fitting. At least they still have, you know, the same character. Tyrion's response is pretty interesting, and obviously the necessary sacrifice line is interesting. And, you know, callbacks and all that, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh man, and I hope this little one doesn't become another. I love the throwing shade at her, doesn't know who she is, and I love that she immediately clenches her fist and stands up as if to take him on. My only question is, where's her umbrella, by the way? That's weird. Otherwise, I love the interaction. Oh, and here, once again, just great stuff. By the way, the first time, not the first time, only the second time her name's ever been said, like, in full, which is interesting. I don't know, man. I really like her reactions. I really love what they're doing with her face. I really like she hates being described as an asset. You really get the impression that, you know, she was a partner with Roman, she was a real person. They're just describing her like a tool, and that will continue even in talks later in a moment. So it's very good stuff. Not to mention, following that by the line, you certainly do enjoy collecting assets, and this thinking face on Neo. She's taking it all in, thinking it over. She's not going to be played. I love it. And I'm mad. Alright, let's talk about it. The designs, not a fan, really. Not my thing. I mean, they make sense. They're sort of rugged up for Atlas, and, you know, Hazel has his arms bare so he can just do stuff, although he doesn't have his pouches. Can't really see them. But, you know, I don't know, man. I was very against introducing them again. It puts so many characters here. And honestly, it leans into something I was thinking, is that, are they trying to wrap this whole show up sooner? For real, like, are they moving some of their plans because you're putting characters here who don't have to be here? Are you trying to wrap everyone up? That aside, I do like the interaction between Emerald and Cinder, that she, you know, immediately goes for like a loving, friendly interaction and gets immediately shut down. So, you know, that's something. On a base design level, I mean, nothing's too awful. Although, what is on Mercury's belt? I don't get what that is. I mean, Emerald's rugged up for the snow, by which she means putting on a jacket, but her hips and stuff are all bare, and I don't know, it seems kind of whatever. The detail on the jacket's really overdone for both of them. The white crosses and his emblem, they just seem over-designed. I don't really care for the orange that much. And, you know, like I said, Hazel's design makes more sense for combat, but also less sense for the environment. But I guess he's like an aura master, right? He's got aura recharge out the wazoo, so he doesn't get cold, so whatever. Okay, and yeah, I really like this. I like that Cinder is single-minded, going after the powers. Not that I think that's a great character trait, but it's definitely consistent. It's what she would say, and I love Salem immediately shutting her down, saying, I didn't give that order. And she's immediately put back under Salem's heel. I think it's quite cool. So they're not going to answer it, but I've always questioned how like magic symbols and stuff work. Like, she has emblems and that kind of thing, and you sort of see it here where she touches a throne and it runs through the whale and through the symbols. I do like the whale though. I think it's cool. But yeah, just a thought that's always, you know, magic in this universe has always been kind of questionable, and it just makes me curious. Just because you're more valuable to me than a pawn doesn't make you a player. Nice work. Also, you can actually see like the point of those sticks around Atlas. It's a hard light shield. That makes a lot of sense given like the defense we've seen in earlier seasons, and Ironwood will mention them later, but they really weren't shown before. But it makes sense, I guess. So again, here Salem says everything's already in motion. You just have to act when I tell you to. And what's already in motion? Like, I get that the army's here, but it sounds like she's got schemes running. But almost all the players, except for Watts, are in the room. They all seem reasonably confused or unsure. So I wonder what's been said off screen. Maybe we'll find out. Okay, so first, like, metaphor note and some directing note. I love that she puts her head down and says, "Without you, I am nothing." And it reminds you of her pose in the very opening shot, the scrubbing of the floor, being head down. No, despite what she says, there's no way she's actually okay with this. And I like that, seeding some thoughts into the character. Okay, so this felt weird. It was one of the first weird choices. Her flicking them away with a finger, like, I get it, they're nothing to her, like, yeah, go away. But it didn't feel very Salem-y so far. I don't know, just an odd choice. We'll see how it goes. So this is an interesting choice. I don't like this shot at all. That wall is so bare and barren, and I know that's meant to be the point, right? Like, it looks empty and cold and harsh, but because it's not real brick, it's drawings, like, because the style, it makes this shot feel very strange, and these people don't look right. This guy in the front doesn't have the right shadows on him, like his head, and I don't know. This shot just irked me when I first saw it. Also, his hair color matches that lady in the back perfectly, and I guess they could be related or something. It just feels odd to have, like, dominant colors like that. I don't know, I just don't like this composition. Just thinking on the fly. Also, there's things about this I do and don't like. His movements, the guy with the bowl being jerky and kind of strange, I don't really like. It seems off-putting. Oscar's reaction to the kindness is nice, where he accepts and, you know, in his surprise at it. And I do like them taking in someone who needs help or just landed in their place. That kind of makes sense. Although the fact this guy doesn't talk and just and walks off makes it feel like they didn't want to pay an extra voice actor or something. Like, it feels strange. I know it's meant to be like a solemn, this is just how things are, but it makes this scene feel kind of awkward. I actually debated how they were going to do this, and, like, I made a video that no one ever saw. I don't think that, I don't think I put it out from memory. It's one of the ones I scrapped, but I was like, oh yeah, they can just call him. Like, they'll just call him on his phone, because, they'll need to find where he is. They know he ran off alone, and Pietro can just unlock his phone. The fact that they didn't do that, and they played this scene off for a bit of minor tension, like, we all know who's in that ship. We know it's not Atlas. It was never fooling anyone. I don't think they meant to, even though they put in the dramatic sounds. I think we're meant to understand that it's not going to happen. And this surprise and the open and the need a lift, like, I don't know, I would have played this just slightly differently. They could have done it smoother. It feels a bit clunky. This scene, I have to say, I like it. Like, it's planting seeds, and I kind of like it that, you know, Oscar is reflecting that every choice he made was the wrong one. And that's been a criticism lots of people have had. Although not really of him, but I get his point. And Ruby's trying to stay optimistic. You know, we all did what we think was right. But that applies to her too, like, that they all made a lot of wrong choices, and I think that's great. Like, whether it's in response to people being mad about their choices, or whether they planned those arcs ages ago, which I can see, because they are kind of obvious arcs and things that they should address and will address because they seem part of the story. I do like that early on we're addressing it. Also, something else I like is that Ruby was trying to be reassuring and sort of smile and inspire hope, and it didn't work. Oscar doesn't look reassured, and those things are starting to fail. They don't always work. That's great. So right away, I like this too, that the Happy Huntresses are helping. This is what I predicted, and this is what should be, that they're looking after Mantle, and they need their help, because this is their territory, they know what they're doing. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know where they stashed the ship, but we'll gloss over it, I guess. I also think it's an interesting choice to have her shoot the drone. When I saw them shooting cameras in the pre-volume material, I always thought, oh, Watts is out, so they're shutting down the cameras in Mantle, like that's a scene from forward in time. But instead, no, they're legitimately hiding from the general and shooting out drones, which, I mean, I guess, sure. Again, I like this too, that, like I said, immediately the Huntresses actually have characters, they're actually talking, they're being involved. This is good. I mean, this show has always had a problem of too many characters, but whether or not that is the case, these characters should be relevant to here, so the fact that they have a stage and a role is great. You know, more than one line or something. We didn't really get to know them last season, so the fact we're getting to know them now is a positive. This is really sweet. I really like his assumption she's just going to tackle him like always, but she solemnly gives him a heartfelt hug. That's really nice, and I think it helps show the maturing of Nora's character, which I'll get into later, but yeah, this is really good stuff. Okay, 3 things in quick succession here that I like and are interesting. 1, there's that's a long story. He doesn't explain what happened. Say that's good or bad because you want to know, but with how the powers and all that stuff. But he's hiding something from them, and that's interesting. Also, he's hiding Oz back in his head from them, which is also interesting, and I like that in this situation, Oz is not powers. I guess you could try and force a takeover, but he's not going to. So Oz is set in the background. And, for the first time, he's talking to Oz inside his head, which is something people have talked about for ages and makes a lot of sense. So that's great. I like that they can do that now, or that they're doing that now. And also, there's a lot of long stories tonight. In the background, Penny looks at her hands and is still conflicted. Great stuff. On the question of where's Crow, everyone's reaction makes it look like he died. Like, they all put their heads down solemnly and sadly and, like, pause and, like, let it hang. That's the reaction you do when people die. I guess they don't know, and they say they don't know, and that's fine. But it was kind of awkward. Like, as an audience member, you're like, he didn't die, he's okay. Maybe you don't know that, and that's why you're worried, and that's fine. But it just gives off that aura, like, that situation where they all look down and sad and don't say anything and never say anything, and the other character gets the reaction of realizing they're dead. It just felt kind of strange. But I understand it, at least. Immediately, I like the Huntress's approach. Okay, everyone's back now, so you ready to work? Like, we got a job to do, and you can do it, so, that'd be interesting. And also, yeah, I know people have speculated about this picture, and I'm sure there'll be lots of talk about it, but I don't know, I'm not gonna speculate, it's fine. So, interesting notes. I guess you could take it either way, but the way that Ren says he's, Ironwood's stopping all evacuations to Atlas, I understand that probably means he isn't sending ships down, but it sounds like he's actively turning people away, the way it was said. Hopefully that isn't the case, that's insane. To turn away, people that should be safe. There's no reason. Whatever, I don't think that's what they mean. And also, the idea of the crater, that's what everyone's, assumed. I know they said the crater in the pre-volume material, but the fact it's warm, I don't know, it might be out of the wind chill, but I don't know how it's warm, unless all the heating for Mantle's runoff or something is there, engines, I don't know. But okay, well, I'll just take it, we'll just take that one for now. Okay, this is weird. Weiss has definitely outgrown her pretty princess gimmick, and she hasn't acted that way for a while. Now, I know that it's probably just, how you deal with things, you make jokes to yourself, we're never gonna sleep again, I just know it. Okay, but, the people Sahil around her didn't react like that, and it sounds off. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not sure why they had to say that. Okay, here's the first bit of editing I really don't like. This fade is awkward. It's not executed right. This dissolve through, and it's meant to be a flashback, and you have to get out there, and what we're doing, it should have been maybe she finishes talking and we dip to white, or flash through or something. This is just the first of a few directorial and editing decisions I really am not a fan of, so down points here. No good. Yeah, and this. Nope, get it out of here. I don't like these editing choices. I don't like the background switch with the model staying the same. It looks impressive sometimes when you do it in live action, but because they're animated, it just looks like you swapped out the back card, which is what you did. And it looks jarring and weird, and it doesn't work. And I'm not going to go over it all in this video, but I have the same issue with the opening. I'm not a huge fan of the editing in it. I don't like the switching of one screen to the other. It's just not a great choice, and they continue to do it through this episode. I won't harp on every one, but I'm just making that point. Okay, this is hand-waving. The whole issue was that they couldn't get the supplies they needed to Amity, and then I get Amity was sort of up in the air and sitting there at the end of the last volume, but they really didn't address how much they got done, and them saying that it's pretty much done, it's fine, it's all manageable from here, and the issue is just launching it. That feels off, and it didn't have to feel off. They could have addressed it last season, but because they didn't, it feels off now. It feels a bit, despite the idea of the launch being incredibly hard, it feels too easy. But, Okay, so two things. I don't put a picture up for it, but yay, RWBY and Yang are talking, but we'll get more to that in a second. I do like and dislike this there's two terminals thing. Yeah, it's convenient, but the other one's in a military base, so it's really hard. I do actually like they addressed one question I had, which is what is this structure under Atlas on the bottom side of the rock? The fact it's a military base and you launch from underneath and they can go up or down, that makes a fair bit of sense, so I like that. I will admit, when Oscar was tumbling out of the sky at the end of 7, I expected him to get caught on those railings and have to wait for a ship and just be, Empire Strikes Back. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe that'll happen this season, who knows. Okay, thank you. This is excellent. I love this whole interaction. I love them questioning each other. I love that it's not full-on accusatory. I love that they don't start yelling at each other. I love the hurt in both of their faces. I love the reactions of everyone around them, realizing it's both true and not liking it, questioning her abilities as a leader, which, is fair with their situation, but also none of them had any better answers. And, it's addressing what a lot of people were mad about, RWBY's decisions, which is fair. The sisterly fallout and conflict is great. I really hope they keep exploring this. I hope it's not something they touch on, then don't talk about it for 6 episodes, touch on it one more time, and then wrap up at the end. This is excellent. And I really like that, as we'll see soon, and what we've touched on with Blake, sort of siding with RWBY, and Ren and Nora having their disagreement. Like, I like that the partners that have always been the partners since the beginning and the pairs are disagreeing here. I think it's great. I'm going to skip over the awful background change cut again that happened behind Nora, because you heard my thoughts on the last one. I like the awkward balancing here. Jean is trying to deliberate and say we can do both, but clearly each side thinks differently. And, Oscar comes in and says, no, RWBY comes in and says, they're trying to divide us like this, and then Oscar says, no, we can work together and do these things as long as we're not fighting with each other, and everyone kind of, it's like, tensely agrees, but none of them seem to believe it, and that feels very real, so good job. So, a few points. I really like that Penny is struggling and trying to come up with an answer and is not happy about any of this and saying, look, I'll take the relic to Salem and maybe I should call everything off. And Oscar makes a great point that they should not trust Salem to do that, even if she said she would. You don't need to be Oz to think that there's no reason they should trust her. And then, they're still all good guys, and I like that Yang's like, no, we're not handing you over to anyone. But then that sisterly or family sort of conflict, sarcasm that, families have comes out. I think that's the one thing we can all agree on, and shoots a look. I like it. Good choices. More interesting points. I like that, Pietro, come with us. We need you to activate security. He doesn't seem that thrilled about it, but he accepts his role, and then Penny says she'll go. Question, how good at Penny is disabling security? Is she like R2-D2? Is she gonna, hack in because she's a robot? I don't know what they're gonna, I know that she has his soul and all that, but she doesn't have his mind, and I don't know if they're ever going to address what her technological capabilities are just because she's robotic. And also, this feels quite threatening. Just because she has maiden powers doesn't mean she'll be able to walk through security in the way that Pietro could, disable things, so this almost felt like a threat. But it was against her dad, but it also, I guess, feels a bit moody teenager, flexing what they have. I don't know. It's an interesting choice. Alright, we're getting to, some of the more fandom's interest stuff, where I like the do what you gotta do, I'm gonna go do what I can to help people, and Yang walks off to do exactly that. She's making choices. And you can see the hurt and the concern and the conflict with Blake. There's clearly stuff there. Yes, they're friends anyway. They're close friends. So, read into it what you will. But I like that the pairs, the constant pairs, are splitting up. They don't all feel great about it. It's good stuff. I'm supporting of this. I never got around to putting out a video that I had half made. That was a breakdown of the trailer, but I knew this was how they were going to do it. That, the upgrades and the bikes and stuff was go swing by my shop. I was working on stuff there for you that he mentioned he was going to do in the previous volume. That, I have other ideas. I assume he just got to work on some of them. But, it makes sense. So, good stuff. I didn't like the fade behind her hand again. It's going to be a theme, and I'm not a fan of it, but it's an editing choice. I can get over it. I don't mean to be... Well, I'm not self-congratulatory, because obviously nothing's proven, but this Ren and Nora stuff, and they're split up, and they could be kept apart. I'm just saying, I made a video on this, and... it's lining up with this could possibly happen, and obviously that's just my idea and just one of my thoughts on how they could do things, but I tell you what, if it ends up being anything close, I'm gonna be pretty proud of myself. You can find that video on my channel if you want, the first video I made. But again, the pair's splitting up, good stuff. Hey, we're still united. I hope so. There, that's good. I like it. Everyone's admitting how this feels. They don't feel united. They can lie to themselves and say that, but they are splitting. Not splitting violently, but they clearly have two different goals. This isn't them working together to achieve a goal. It's them taking the options they think are correct, and they don't feel solid about the base of this, and it's good. Again, I really like that they're making some choices early, and we're going to have to see where those choices take them. Despite Penny's hair curl looking ridiculous in this frame, I really like this. I like Ironwood's fake calm voice. The acting here is really good with the, I'm worried for your safety, just come back. It's that cold, hollow bit that you know they're hiding something, or they're not being forefront with what they're trying to do, and it's great. And also, but his justifications make sense. And RWBY stepping in here feels very how do I put it? It feels very like snarky girlfriends, where she's like, you know, taking the phone and being like, no, I'm sticking up for my friend and I'm being more snide about it. But, you know, I don't dislike it or anything. I think it works. I like RWBY's got some keeping some of that edge she displayed, hardening up a little, and not just being, you know, super passive about things and super innocent about things. She's determined. I like it. And then she mentions Mantle, and he immediately starts to crack. It's great stuff. You can hear him get exasperated. He's trying to keep control, but he's in such disagreement. And right at the end there, Ironwood cracks a bit too much, sort of shows his mindset and saying it will literally be on your hands if this happens. Like, yeah, RWBY's decisions weren't great, but she didn't bring Salem there, and her, you know, not bringing Penny out there isn't stopping Salem getting through your defenses. So, you know, I get sort of his point, I get his mindset, but I do like that the edge there is pretty severe. This I really enjoy. I love the different reactions of each of the Aesopes. Maro looks legitimately surprised and upset. Vine is just passive as always, his calm self. And, you know, I really like that Harriet has this strong of emotion. It's like she blames herself, she's mad, she's generally frustrated, and she has the most character of any of the Aesopes. If someone's going to become a character, or like a proper antagonist or something, or maybe over the season, I'm really glad that it might be her. She's standing out from the group, as she did already, but it's a real positive. If there was one of them that you were going to see continue as a character, I'm really glad it's her. Oh, and Elm just looks frustrated and annoyed, which kind of fits her as well, so good stuff. Man, this shot is so Star Wars, it's crazy. And the metal clinking hand, I mean, that was done fast, so we'll skim over that, it's fine. I mean, I guess they've implied a little bit as time has passed, not sure how much. The reference is pretty clear, at least pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be. Winter certainly looks more banged up than I remember when they're implying. I mean, I'm not really, I don't know if I'm going to go over the opening sequence in this video or not, but the arm stuff, I mean, it looks kind of cool. The armor and the, what do you call it, like a medical brace and stuff. It's kind of an interesting look. I don't know. I think everyone's just wishing she left her hair down. Yeah, it's interesting. So maybe it's just me, but the Star Wars references keep flowing. Like there's that, like I said, it's sort of like, you got the floating city in the clouds, you got the metal beams under it, you've got his his metal hand, and then you have her with like the red stripe on it, which is giving me like some trooper vibes. And then you have this setup of a siege, like the defenses have to hold against the incoming force. And I guess it feels a bit like The Last Jedi sort of thing, like when they're on the ships and it's just like waiting for them to fail kind of thing. I guess that's kind of a lot of siege things, but I don't know, the references just can't get out of my head. But also I like that we're setting this up because everyone's like, how isn't she breaking through? She should crush them. But I like the idea that they do have a strong defense here, but they can only hold for so long. And then our characters are running around inside that trap kind of thing. Hey, there they are. Glad to see them. They are still counselors. They should be involved in political issues. Or, they think they should be. And there we have it. That's Ironwood's, I guess, collapse into villainy, because that was unnecessary. And can't say I didn't call it if you got my death tier list video. He was in that filler death section, so that's one. I do like the various reactions of the Aesopes here. I don't know, this might be a little too far. I do like that he poignantly said, I'll do whatever it takes, no matter the cost, which is the exact thing that Oscar told him not to do, that it would only take you somewhere bad. Yeah, also interesting that it doesn't matter. I was going to say it's interesting that he shot the guy and not her, but I guess one makes a point and he just chose, or they just didn't want to, I don't know. But anyway, so that guy's dead. So Winter didn't look as questioning as I thought she might, but I do like Harriet's questioning. I do like she's unsure about this, and I do like the fact that because we got close-ups of her, that I think she's going to become, at least in this volume, a more important character. Again, if you're gonna have a standout, make it her of the Aesopes team. So I'm positive about at least the direction of people's reactions, even if I don't think James's action was really justified. and could have called that one from a mile off. You end the show with your big line from the trailer that's going to set up events. You end the first episode, okay, now we're putting that into action. So, you can't complain. I think that's where almost everyone would have ended the episode, given the players at hand. So, yeah, that's the first episode. I'm going to take a second and give you my thoughts, and I'll talk about the opening separately, I think. Okay, I've sort of gathered my thoughts. I don't have a script for this, as you can tell. I'm leaving in mistakes and stuff, but I'm thinking off the cuff, and I think that my biggest takeaway is that this is a solid opening. People might complain that there's no action in it, because you're talking about a 14-episode volume with no action in the opening episode, and that just feels very Volume 5, and a lot of people would be against another Volume 5, myself included. So, yeah, there's that. I do really like that the characters in the show, like I said a few times, are making decisions early. People are taking sides, people are being proactive, the story's being proactive, it's not just about the team. Salem's making moves, things are happening. James is making moves. I like the divisions, I like that a lot of the pairs are splitting up. Even if it's just to get them away from each other so we can have some characters interact who haven't interacted as much. I really like that. I won't talk about the opening totally, but the opening suggests this too. A lot of the team splits and the pair splits. Like, Nora looks like she's going to be so much more of a character, which is excellent. And like I said, that video I made about Nora and Ren just feels so on point to what could happen with the way this is being set up. I think the Aesops are going to be interesting this season, especially Harriet from the looks of it. I'm really interested to see if Winter will be unsure about what side to take, and when she comes up against Weiss, one-on-one, that's going to be interesting. The confrontation, I'm sure, will happen sooner rather than later, at least the first meeting between them. What else? I really like everything they're doing with Neo. I like that it's not just she gave one bratty look and then we're waiting for her to try and stab Cinder. I love her reactions to Salem and everyone talking. I love how she doesn't seem to grasp what kind of shit she's in, but also she's, as ever, confident Neo. So, reacts poorly when people talk badly about her. She takes notice of what people say. She's gathering information. Tyrion sounded off, but what he was saying makes sense. I think it's interesting that they've written off Watts as a loose asset, so I don't know what they're going to do with that. That's interesting. I thought they'd be perhaps trying to break him out so he can do stuff in Atlas, or unless they have a plan for that. But like I said, Salem alluded to plans already being in action, so we'll see. Because if you take Tyrion's line of, it's a necessary sacrifice, and then you take Salem saying things are already in action, then maybe he was meant to get captured and they have a plan. If so, they cut it very close with James not killing him. And lastly, we'll talk about James. Interesting. I know they talked about him becoming a villain, I think it was the commentary notes for Volume 7. They talked about, his descent into being a villain. I think his reactions were extreme. I think him shooting the guy is a bit extreme. But I really like the acting, as always. His delivery is excellent. And at least, even if you're not happy with the direction they're taking his character, the presentation and the acting sells you on it, because the little inflections in his voice when he's talking to Penny and all of that, it really helps sell it, at least. So even if you don't buy it, it's being sold really well. It'd be interesting to see how this standoff turns out. This raid on a military base sounds, I don't know, it sounds a bit stally, we're really going to raid a military base, and okay, whatever. Just to press a button to launch Amity, couldn't the Grim attack it if it flies out of their defendable range, on its way out? How fast is it? I don't know, because at least Watson knows about it, and Tyrion knows about it, so we'll see about that. I'm really upset that Mercury, Emerald, and Hazel are here. It feels like them being here suggests that they're wrapping things up quickly, they want to kill them off or get rid of them. I don't know how they have a plan for so many villains and bad guys. I don't know why they're along for the ride if they're just going to stand around. I said in my, not predictions, but like sort of how I do things and talk about what to do with the characters in I think the Death Tier List video, that I would have just sent them to Vacuo, have this season end with them arriving in Vacuo beforehand to have done stuff. Having them here feels weird. I'm not a fan of any of their designs. Emerald's is the best and least offensive of the bunch, but I don't know, I don't like them. They look over-designed and a bit tacky, I guess. Yeah, outside of that, I think it's this is a solid start. Everyone has a direction, lines are being drawn, ideas are being discussed, plans are being made, people are committing to things, be they good, bad, or whatever Ironwood is. So, it's a positive start. I'm happy with this. I'll have to think on it more. I might make another video on it. I probably will make a video analyzing the opening later, once I've had some sleep, because it is 5 AM and I'm still up because I stayed up to watch this twice and then make this recording. So, thank you if you found any of my thoughts enlightening or you enjoyed it. I know it's not the same as like reaction content, but it's, you know, analyzing through the plot step by step. I don't know how this video is going to turn out, but yeah, that was Season 8, Episode 1. A solid start. I hope they continue and deliver on the things they've set up. Especially stuff like RWBY and Yang disagreeing. That's excellent. Please continue it. And not just have them split up the whole time. They need to be back together because they need to talk. They need to go through some stuff. Oh, and Cinder backstory. Yes. The fact they opened with it is amazing. Thank you for that. We better just see more of it. And it obviously feels like it's relevant to right here. So, yes. The fact they opened with it, like it's literally like the cold open, means that they should be exploring it further. That shouldn't be the whole thing for the volume. So, big positive. Anyway, I'm rambling too much. Thank you very much. My name's Rigger, this is You Alright. Thank you very much, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I did alright.